On July 4th, 1776, the Second Continental Congress unanimously adopted the Declaration of Independence, announcing the colony's separation from Great Britain. The Constitution provides the legal and governmental framework for the United States. We declared our independence from high taxation without representation by Great Britain. The reason I tell you this on this July 4th is because just as the colonists declared independence from Great Britain, you should consider declaring independence from debt and gain control over your personal finances. It is, after all, July 4th. And did you know that according to LendingTree, Americans' total credit card balance is $986 billion in the first quarter of 2023. And this is according to the latest consumer debt data from the Federal Reserve Bank of New York. That's unchanged from the fourth quarter of 2022's record number, leaving the balance the highest since the New York Fed began tracking in 1999. And I totally get it. We're talking about finances, and this is your finance. This is personal finance. So I don't have context over exactly what you're going through, what your personal situation is, but I'm going to give you just a few tips on how to gain control over your finances and your debt. Because when you owe somebody something, the lender, if you owe a bank money, the lender, the bank, is your owner. You become a slave to the lender. And that's a biblical reference, but in essence, it's true. They have control over you. They have dominion over you. That's not a good way to live, in my opinion. Okay, so the first recommendation I have is something that is very, very simple, and that is to create a budget. A budget allows you to assign where the money goes. Instead of you getting a paycheck, the money goes directly into your bank, and then at the end of the month, you're coming up short consistently. Having a budget allows you to have full control over where the money goes. You know how much is coming in. Based on your historical spend, you can then assign every single dollar that comes into your account where it goes. You have now the ability to say, this dollar is going to go here, this dollar is going to rent, this dollar is going to utilities, this dollar is going to discretionary spending, this dollar is going to clothing, eating out, investing, saving, and giving. Having a budget is initially a slight bit of a lift because you now have to sit down, and if you're married, you have to work with your spouse on where you are going to assign each dollar. There are a ton of free budgeting options out there for you, and I will link it in the comments. Some of the examples are Mint, YNAB, Good Budget, Every Dollar, Empower Personal Wealth, Pocket Guard, Honeydew, Fudget, and this list comes from NerdWallet. So there are a lot of free budgeting apps out there that will guide you through this process, and you should definitely consider setting up a budget. That should be your first step in regaining your control, regaining your financial independence, declaring independence from debt. Okay, second thing, and I see this among my physician friends all the time. You start out being a medical student, you're in debt. I don't know about you, but for me, I was over close to $250,000 in debt by the time I finished medical school. And then residency pays you peanuts. Once you get out, you know, for my physician friends, you've held your breath forever. 4 years of med school. For me, 6 years of residency. That's 10 years of holding my breath, living like a pauper. Once you get out, once you start making a little bit of money, once you finish training, no matter what vocation that you take up, you go from an intern in a trade, and now you start making a little bit of money. the tendency for a lot of my physician friends, for anyone who started out with little and then started making a lot of money, the tendency is to start spending that extra money that you started making. And over time, as you get raises, as you start making more and more money, you develop a habit of spending more money. At the end of the month, you still end up with nothing. I call this a lifestyle creep. Fancy way to say it will be hedonic adaptation. You start living up to the income that you make. And that lifestyle creep is what keeps a lot of my physician friends living, believe it or not, they're making a lot of money, but they're still living paycheck to paycheck due to lack of control over their finances. And really, budgeting is about controlling where the money goes. So be aware, be careful of living up to the income level and not living below your means. People have asked me, John, how did you get to where you are? And I give two very basic advice. Number one, to my physician friends, I tell them, don't buy stupid shit because they're spending money like it's going out of style. You do not have to buy a car to keep up with the Joneses, okay? They're just as broke as you are. They're just as broke as you are, okay? Buying a car just so you can keep up with the Joneses is foolish. I think a car, with extremely rare exceptions, a car is a depreciating, it's not even an asset. It's a depreciating piece of equipment. It gets you from point A to point B. And as long as there's working AC, today we're 110 degrees outside, having a working AC, having a car that takes me from point A to point B safely, that's all that matters, really. Spending all the extra money on a fancy car with a name brand and all that stuff, who are you buying it for? Are you buying it for yourself or are you buying it for other people? And if the answer is the latter, is that a good way to spend your money? Versus saving it, investing it, letting that money grow more money without you having to work harder, right? So it's something to think about as you start your path to declare financial independence from debt. Last advice, last recommendation is that if you're married, you have to have a common goal. And that is working on a budget, and also consider sharing a joint account. You want to pull your money together. There's no my money and your money. It's our money. And if your union is truly a union, you would have a common goal. And sharing an account, pooling your money to work towards a common goal should be the norm. And not this is my money and this is your money. There's no unity. There's no common goal. There's no finish line that both of you are working together to get to reach. And that should be financial independence. And one of the ways, one of the first steps you should take is to get rid of the debt. Start working down the debt. So budgeting, living below your means, and if you're married, having a common joint account, pulling your money together so that you can both be swimming in the same direction. I think those are some of the very basics. I know there's a lot more we can dig into, but this is a good starting point. I'll leave you with this. When I was shortly after college, I, of course, rebelled against my parents. They wanted me to pursue a professional career. I said, no, I'm going to do something else. I worked as a temp, believe it or not. I worked as an administrative assistant, worked as a secretary. I worked in admitting in a hospital, in the admitting department in a hospital, in the emergency room, inpatient, outpatient admitting. I did everything that I could and not pursue medicine. But then I came around and started seeing things from their perspective. And I figured, you know what? If I don't try now, if I don't try the hardest thing, which is to pursue a career in medicine, 40, 50 years from now, when I look back, will I live with regret? Will I live thinking, man, I wonder what would happen if I took action, if I actually applied to medical school? I took action, obviously, and now really I am so extremely grateful to be able to celebrate July 4th, to be living in the United States, to live beyond the American dream. I'm living without regret by having taken action by applying to medical school. And that is what I want to leave you with. I want you to think about taking action and taking control over your debt, over your finances. Don't regret not taking action at all or not taking action soon enough. Another example, another regret, this is something that I did foolishly, is that until recently, I left a lot of money in a bank. And those of you who have savings accounts, when you look at your savings account, you know that bank is not generating much of, even if you have it in the savings account, it's returning peanuts, like less than 1% interest. It wasn't until recently that I finally looked into it and finally took action and moved that money into an account that at least is generating close to what the market is paying. So instead of making less than 1%, sometimes less than 0.1% interest, now I'm getting over 5% interest, APR. That results in a lot of money that my savings is now generating just from sitting there. So I regretted not taking action soon enough. I don't want you to have that regret. The ultimate goal for me is to help everyone reach financial success. My 90-year-old dad has repeatedly said in the past, you want to help others, you want to help your friends to achieve the same level of success as you have achieved, because it is always easier and better to retire with similarly financially healthy friends. If you're thinking about doing something, having an activity, it is awkward to have that conversation with someone who is not financially healthy. And when I create the videos like this, it is my goal to help everyone be financially healthy. So when we retire, we can have fun interactions, be able to take off, be able to do activities that we all mutually enjoy without having to worry about, will this person have enough resources to enjoy life during retirement? As they say, rising tide lifts all ships. And I leave you with that. Thank you so much for the privilege of your time. Please take care of yourself and take care of each other. Happy July 4th. Bye-bye.